Well, there are calls from within Australia's technology sector for greater investment to address the industry's skills shortage ahead of the federal election. Leading Australian tech investors, company founders and industry groups believe more can be done by the federal government to position the country as a leading tech maker rather than a consumer of innovation. Patrick Kidd is the CEO of the Digital Skills Organisation and he joins me now live. Patrick, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. Firstly, can you just explain how critical the sector is in Australia and the role that it plays?
Thanks very much indeed, Danica, and thanks for having me on your sort of show this afternoon. I think when we think about digital skills, we need to come at it from a couple of perspectives. We know about the need for technical talent. There's a whole host of requirements there to really build up the numbers of people who've got the skills necessary to really power the economy from a technology perspective. So we estimate that probably 286,000 people are going to be required over the next 5 or so years. And it's interesting when you think about that. Our current education system is generating around 10,000 people a year with those technology skills that are going to be needed in the economy. But actually the need is for about 60,000 people a year. So there's a massive gap in capacity there in terms of our education system. But it's also really important to recognise that this isn't just about technology professionals. This is actually about the skills that everybody has in the workforce. So we're talking here about our digital skills that every worker has to have now to be able to be successful in their jobs and be able to realise their potential. Every business now needs people with digital capabilities. Every person now needs to have the digital skills that they need to be successful. And as we go from where we are now, where we look at sort of 60% of us need to have digital skills, in the next sort of 2 or 3 years, 90% of us will have to have those digital skills necessary to be able to be successful in the workplace. So this is a two-edged problem. It's about everybody. It's about every industry.
Absolutely. It's so important. You mentioned those numbers there. Over the 5 years, more than 200,000 jobs will be required. Tell us about the skills shortage. How bad is it?
I think we currently have around 800,000 people who are working in the sector. We think it's going to become more than that to around 1 million by 2027. The shortage tends to come in certain areas. And what really happens, of course, is that what you find is that the larger organisations are able to pick up and still acquire that talent, put in place programs that develop talent. But what you're really finding is in those sort of small to medium-sized companies that very much are the powerhouse of the Australian economy, they struggle to now pay for people with those technology skills. So what we've got to do is to really open up the entry-level pathways to get people into those workplaces that are there and to really encourage employers to open up their doors so that they take technology seriously, that they are prepared to invest in the individuals that are coming through the system so that we are really starting to open up the pipeway to talent from a very diverse collection of areas as we go forwards.
We, of course, have the federal election coming up in only a matter of months. What are you looking for from both sides in terms of investing in the future of these industries?
So I think first and foremost, we need to recognise that digital skills are now as important as reading and writing across the economy. And if that's true, then we've got a massive job to do now in terms of upskilling the legacy workforce, as well as making sure that people are coming through the system with the right skills. So I think we need to have a strategic approach here. We need to think about this as a whole. We need to be able to put in place mechanisms and initiatives that really sit across the state so that we are focused upon the priority needs and we're investing in those priority needs as we go forwards. I think we must be absolutely clear about what the outcomes are that we're seeking to achieve. So there's something here about measuring where are we at. So we're really keen to see actually for the first time the measurement of digital literacy within the workplace. I think that then helps us to understand where are we now and how are we going to move forwards into the future. We then need to make it easier for employers to take on board people with technology traineeships so that actually they themselves, the employers, are incentivized to actually bring on people into their workforce to help them to start to bring on board people with the right technical skills that will power their economies. And we also need to make sure that we're incentivizing individuals from a very broad range of backgrounds to come on board and take apprenticeships. So I think that there's an investment that's required there. And I think we can also do something to actually make it easier for everybody to access the skills that they need. So I think there's a real part to play here for free online training that everybody can access that will help to power the economy and get people up to the skill levels that they need if we're going to be successful in this particular space. So I think those are the main areas that we want to go into. There's another part of it, which is around how do we help the training providers to deliver the right types of training with the agility that's required. That requires some additional investment around teachers, training materials that go with it. But this is a massive problem. It requires a strategic approach to get us into the right direction. And I think this is apolitical. So both parties need to be really applying a very similar approach to this if we're going to get to where we need to get to.
Okay, well, we hopefully might see some announcements in the next few months. Patrick Kidd, we have to leave it there. I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.